The moment I saw those blue and red lights strobing through the pine trees, I knew Patricia Bellman had finally lost her mind. Two patrol cars came screaming down our private mountain road, sirens wailing as if the world were ending. Deputy Harrison jumped out, hand on his weapon, braced for whatever dangerous criminal the HOA president had reported this time. What he found, however, was my 87-year-old grandfather in his favorite fishing vest. He was holding a bag of birdseed and wearing the kind of amused expression he usually reserved for ridiculous reality TV shows. Standing opposite him was Patricia, clad in a preposterous sun visor pointing at him like he was public enemy number one. "He's trespassing!" she shrieked in a voice that could peel paint. "This vagrant broke onto the riverside property. I demand you arrest him immediately." My grandfather calmly adjusted his hearing aid and gave her a slow, steady smile. "Ma'am, I was in Army intelligence during Vietnam. I've survived jungle warfare, 2 divorces, and that time I accidentally ate my wife's experimental casserole. You really think your little temper tantrum is going to rattle me?" The campaign of terror. To understand how we reached this point, you have to go back a month. My name is David Parsons. I'm a software developer who recently inherited a beautiful A-frame cabin in Pine Ridge Estates, one of those gated mountain communities where people have too much money and far too much time on their hands. I wasn't looking for trouble, I just wanted a peaceful place to work remotely and enjoy the mountain air. The cabin had been in our family for decades, nestled between towering evergreens. But peace wasn't in Patricia Bellman's vocabulary. She ran the HOA like her own personal kingdom, and from day 3 she made it clear I was an unwelcome subject. It started with a knock. "Mr. Parsons," she said, her smile never reaching her eyes, "I noticed you haven't submitted an exterior modification request for that bird feeder." I blinked, genuinely confused. "The bird feeder that's been there since my uncle built this place in 1985. Her smile tightened. "All exterior features must be approved. Remove it. Also, your welcome mat, the one with the bear and the attack squirrel joke, must go. Entrance mats must be neutral brown or beige. We have standards here." That was just the beginning. Over the next few weeks, Patricia launched a campaign of suburban terrorism. I received violation notices for everything. My kayak was the wrong shade of green, my small vegetable garden was an unauthorized agricultural installation, and my American flag was apparently 3 inches too large according to subsection 12.4. I tried to be the adult. I attended an HOA meeting, but Patricia held court like a queen, dismissing my concerns with a wave of her manicured hand. "Previous negligence," she declared, "does not excuse current violations." The breaking point. Things escalated when I caught her on my security cameras at 7:00 a.m., creeping around my back deck like a bargain bin spy. "What are you doing on my property?" I asked, stepping out with my coffee. "Documenting violations," she snapped. "That deck stain is not on the approved color list." "Get off my property, Patricia." "It's Mrs. Bellman to you," she huffed, stomping off. That's when Grandpa Joe arrived. At 87, he was a force of nature, 30 years in the military and 20 running a construction company. He had a wit sharp enough to cut glass. When I warned him about Patricia, he just laughed. "Son, I've dealt with bureaucrats and drill sergeants. A suburban busybody doesn't even make my top 10. The next morning, while I was on a video call, Grandpa went out to fill the feeders, humming Johnny Cash. Patricia didn't approach him like a neighbor. She called 911 and reported an elderly vagrant breaking and entering. The showdown. By the time I got outside, the deputies were trying to calm her down. "This man broke in," Patricia insisted. "He's probably homeless looking to squat." "That's because you've never bothered to meet your neighbors," Grandpa said calmly. "I'm David's grandfather. I've been coming here since before you were born." "A liar," Patricia screeched. "Arrest him." Deputy Harrison ran Grandpa's ID and his entire demeanor shifted to one of deep respect. "Mr. Parsons," the deputy said, "it says here you're a decorated veteran, Silver Star, Bronze Star, Purple Heart. Thank you for your service, sir." Patricia sputtered, "I don't care if he's the president, there are rules about guests." I stepped in, showing the officers my phone. "I've been documenting her harassment for weeks. I have footage of her trespassing and measuring my railings without notice." The officer's patience snapped. They warned Patricia that filing false emergency reports was a crime and advised her to go home, but Patricia, in her infinite wisdom, pulled out her phone to record them. "You'll be hearing from our lawyer," she threatened. Grandpa's eyes twinkled. "Lawyer, huh? My poker buddy Harold happens to be one of the best property attorneys in the state. He loves a good HOA overreach case, says they're like shooting fish in a barrel." He pulled out his ancient flip phone and made a call. Patricia didn't wait to see if Harold answered. She practically ran back to her house. The downfall. Grandpa Joe wasn't just a veteran, he had spent his last 10 years in the military working with JAG on property disputes. He and Harold were the real deal. Harold sent a cease and desist letter that was a legal masterpiece, but the real nuclear option came when Harold dug into the HOA financial records. He discovered Patricia had been using HOA funds to buy security cameras specifically to spy on residents she disliked. Even worse, she had been billing the HOA for administrative expenses that matched her monthly Mercedes payments to the penny. The emergency board meeting was legendary. When Harold presented the documentation, the room erupted. Neighbors who had been bullied for years finally found their voices. The board voted unanimously to remove her. The district attorney took it from there. Patricia eventually took a plea deal, 18 months probation, $50,000 in restitution, and 200 hours of community service. She was also banned from ever serving on an HOA board again. Justice served. Pine Ridge Estates is peaceful now. The bird feeders are full, my non-compliant green kayak sits proudly in view, and my bear mat still warns people of attack squirrels. I saw Patricia at the grocery store recently. The woman who once terrorized the neighborhood was hiding behind a display of canned soup to avoid me. As Grandpa said over a beer on the deck, she could have saved herself $50,000 and a criminal record just by being decent. He's now an honorary member of the HOA board with his certificate framed right next to his silver star. He fought communists, terrorists, and HOA tyrants, and he still says the tyrants were the most annoying.